Okay, our application doesn't really handle copy and paste. Now, actually, the application itself does handle copy and paste. All the built-in things like those text fields, you can copy and paste. But our custom view doesn't support copy and paste yet. Let's implement some copy and paste. So this is how it works. The operating system has a process which is called pasteboard server, and it's running all the time. This is where you hold and you get from data that you copy or cut and paste. Now this NS pasteboard class writes and reads from that process. And as any other NS class, it's built in. The data can be copied in different formats. So if you have that string like we were saving it into PDF, we can copy this PDF inside pasteboard, but we can also save it as an image, or we can save it as a string. Since OS 10.6, multiple items can be copied inside a single pasteboard. There are also multiple pasteboards available. Some of those are for objects, and some of those are for finders like files. Some of those are for drag and drop, and we're going to use a few of them in the following modules. Now, NS pasteboard has those methods, and those are of course some of them. You can get the general pasteboard, and this will just return the current pasteboard which is shared among applications. You can get some particular pasteboard. Now you have this NS general pboard, and this would be just the same as calling this. But you can also have a different pasteboard for font, for ruler, for find, and this is for files in Finder, and for something you drag and drop, because when you drag and drop stuff, it actually goes into a special pasteboard called NS drag pboard. And we're going to use it in the next module, but in this one we're going to use the general one. You can also clear the contents of the pasteboard, and of course write objects, an array of objects, into a pasteboard. Okay, before we go to this slide, let's actually go and implement some copy and paste functionality in our application. Okay, so first method I want to implement is the method to write something onto my pasteboard. So I'm going to go to my M file and create a new method, which is void method called write to pasteboard. Okay, and the thing I want to write will be inside, but you have to specify the pasteboard to write. So I'm going to say NS pasteboard, call it PB. Okay. So first is to clear the pasteboard, so the clear stuff that is already there. So I can use clear contents for that. Next thing is PB, write objects, and it accepts an array. And the only thing I want to write is my string. So I'm going to say NS array, create an array on the fly, array with object, again, single object, and pass it my string object. That's it. This is in any type of writing to my pasteboard, whether it's copying or cutting. All I do is I create a new array with a single string object and write that array into my pasteboard. Okay, the other one is of course the reverse. It's reading from the pasteboard, and this one should actually return yes or no, whether it was successful or not, and we call it read from pasteboard. And the same thing, we say NS pasteboard PB. Okay, so now I want to do kind of reverse. First, I want to create NS array. I'm going to call it classes. And this is an array of classes of things I'm going to get from my pasteboard. So NS array with object, and I want to get the class of NS string. I'm creating a new array, and I'm saying this array will only have one object, and that object is NSString class. And I'm going to use this array to specify what types of data I want to get from my pasteboard, because the only thing I want to accept is NSString. I don't want to accept images or sounds or anything like that. Okay, now I need another array to hold my actual objects that I'm going to take from the pasteboard. So let's call it objects, and we're going to get it from our pasteboard, read objects for classes, and this is of course classes, and options. I don't really need any options, just get the string. Okay, so if I had something in there, let's check. If objects count, because it's an array, I can call count is bigger than 0, I have at least one object, I only need one. So let's create a new NSString, and this would be my value. This would be the thing from the array. I only need the first thing, because even though there might be more objects, I can only handle one. So objects, object at index and index 0. Okay. If value length, if the length of that string is 1, this is what I want to handle, because again, I can only get NSString with a single character. So if it's actually 1, that means it's okay. I can self set string to this value and return yes, because it was successful, everything went fine. And in the end here, I'm going to say return no. This will mean something went wrong. And if I return yes, I'm going to exit my method from this line, and it's never going to reach no. So this is fine. Okay, so these are the methods to read and write from the pasteboard, but these are generic ones. They don't really handle the cut or copy or paste. They only handle the interaction with the pasteboard. We still need to create copy and paste things. So let's go to my H file and create 3 new IB actions. First one is cut. And as any other IB action, I need this ID sender thing. And of course, it should be IB action. So let me just copy this and paste it twice. And this will be paste, and this would be copy. So now I have those 3 IB actions for something that you really know how it works. So let's implement those actions. IB action cut, and cut is really easy to implement because I need self copy sender, and I have to set my string to nothing, because when I cut, I delete the only thing that is there. Okay, now for IB action called copy, I have to copy the stuff to the pasteboard. So ns pasteboard pb. Yeah, this don't need this. ns pasteboard get general pasteboard, so something that we use for stuff like text, and self write to pasteboard pb. This, of course, will ask this method to put something inside. And yeah, of course, we need this for cut as well. Yeah, but before the string, of course, because we want to get that string. Okay, and the last thing to do is IB action paste. And paste is the same thing. We need a new NS pasteboard. And if read from pasteboard PB, then let's call something like NSB a single, something to say, oh, something is wrong. Okay, this should work. Let's go ahead and run. First, let me copy something from here, like this @ symbol. I'm going to copy and go here and hit Command V, and it's pasted here. Now I can put something else like 8 and go so that you see edit copy. And if I go somewhere here and go edit paste, I have that 8. So this is how you implement copy and paste for something that wasn't in there. But stuff like this already has copy and paste. It already works like so. Okay.